Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brute Thoughts podcast. This is German coming to you on this Friday edition of the pod. I wanted to get on here and do some soccer or football, how I like to call it, before our American friends. let's call it soccer. We have football is back, and I did an entire like premiere thing last week, and I wanted to just kind of check in weekly with the season. We're gonna just follow the English Premier and the Spain lead in La Liga, and we'll highlight PSG and some of the bigger clubs as well. We had I want to start off first with Bayern and Dortmund. They played on Tuesday for the German Super Cup, and it was an exciting game in the first half. It was very clear Dortmund's level is was not at Bayern's level, which is expected. Bayern's one of the top teams in the entire world, and so we expected obviously Bayern to win it, but it was a matchup where you get this sometimes, especially with rivals, where the game is close, there's a lot of tension, but sooner or later the talent rises to the top, and it was one of those things that Bayern just was able to get to a higher gear naturally faster than Dortmund was. Dortmund needed to make this a very ugly game, a very slow game, where they if they were going to beat Bayern, they were going to make them pay, and they were going to have to be very effective and very productive with their chances, which they weren't, and that's ultimately what caused them the game. Lewandowski had his goal, his first one was really good, where he was like a missile, and he headed it in. The second one was just wonderful pace by Alfonso Davies, and I don't know if Lewandowski touched it, but I guess we'll give him the credit. And it was just like a tap in for Mueller, and obviously the goal for Royce was a screamer. But it was just one of those games where Bayern was just significantly better, and there was not much surprise there. What is interesting to see though, watching that and watching Haaland and just his frustration. I can't wait to see him in a big team, or a more competitive team where he has the horses to compete with other guys. He's so different, man, and he's such a difference maker, and he's such a beast because of just the threat that he poses, and he's so physically dominant. Almost he's Lukaku is a big forward, and he's very he's one of those dudes that knows how to use his body. And I think Haaland at this age, with like 20, 21, he's better at using his body. He knows how to use his body, which is really incredible for a guy that young to know how to do that. I'm excited for his future. I think like everybody else, and just to see where he lands in terms of I think where Germany stands. Obviously, I think it's a league that it's Bayern's to lose, and unless Bayern, um, has a bunch of injuries, or just something catastrophic happens, I just don't know how they would not win. What a weird way to phrase it. Huh? I don't know how. I don't know if they. I don't know. I don't see a pathway for anybody else but Bayern to win La Bundesliga. So we'll just that's my prediction. I don't think I'm being bold in saying that. One of the reports that did come out after the game, and I think it's one of those things that has been circulating in Germany for a long time, but it came out with more. It was more certain this time. Lewandowski wants any challenge, and you can see that. I think if you play in Bayern, it's different than playing for PSG, or even Juventus, even though the Italian league is starting to get more competitive. It's different because in in Germany, Bayern won the Champions League 2 years ago. So it's not like you haven't won it. It's not like you haven't tasted success. Germany, Bayern, I keep calling it Germany. Bayern is coming off the heels of winning the treble 2 years ago. So if you're Lewandowski, you've done everything and won everything there is to win in the Bundesliga. There's nothing else for you. There's nothing else that you can say, oh, I still gotta accomplish this. Where it's different in PSG. Obviously if you're at PSG, Neymar, you got to win the Champions League. And if you win the Champions League, it's one of the it becomes everything. It's not the same in in Bayern, So I can see that Bayern's asking for 117 million, which is a lot of money, especially in this market, which makes him almost unsellable unless a Chelsea or Man City comes in and offers that ridiculous amount. I think Lewandowski is obviously I think he's the best striker. Um, I think Benzema is a better forward, like all around forward. But I think in terms of being a goal scorer, I think Lewandowski is the best. And if you're Man City and you're being linked to Harry Kane, and I don't know, I feel like Lewandowski is better than Harry Kane. Why not go for him? Why not make that move and make that move to bring Lewandowski in and kind of just solidify the front for them, which would be very scary. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But yeah, it's where we're at with Germany. In terms of England, we had the start last week, and obviously everybody's joke was Arsenal as these dudes started the year versus Brentford and they lost 2-0. It was Arsenal is in the dumps, and I think it's hard to remember that these guys used to be uh just the team that ruled London. London used to be red. It's London is now blue because of the success of Chelsea and everything that Arsenal has not done. I don't know the solution for Arsenal, because it's a big club. It's a team that has a lot of history and a lot of good history. It's a team that has a lot of success. It's just one of those things that you you go through a dry spell and it kind of changes your culture. And I think Arsenal right now is going through this stage where their culture is shot and they have no identity. There's no pride um in with the team to wear those colors. And one of the things about the big clubs in Europe and the big clubs in the world, whether you're a international federation or a club in soccer, the colors have to mean something. The logo has to mean something. In the NBA, American sports is a little different because maybe football comes the closest, but even then, there's so much movement, and when there's movement, it's more business-like. Where in in soccer, it means something to play for these big clubs. It's why Mbappe wants to go to Real Madrid. It's why it doesn't matter what PSG offers, he wants to go play there because it means something, the weight of it. It's why, Barcelona, even though they're going through their turmoil, somebody's going to go there. A big name's going to end up there because it means something to play for Barcelona. I think AC Milan is a great example of this. Only a terrible owner can get an example, can get in the way of that. Um, but even AC Milan, if AC Milan gets their act together, somebody will go there because it means something to play there. So I think in terms of Arsenal right now, they've lost that. They've lost the meaning of what it is to play for Arsenal, to be an Arsenal player, and to represent those colors, to represent the logo. Um, and I don't know. I think obviously they need a manager change. Arrieta's not the guy, and they need to bring in a guy who instills that. Uh, I don't know if Thierry Henry is ready for it. I know he is the coach, and then he stepped down for personal reasons, and maybe he's the guy to do that. Maybe he's the one that can bring back the just the pride that it is to play for Arsenal. But yeah, it's a terrible start. But I think we gotta relax. Throughout the season, there's always bad losses. It's Arsenal, so it's worse or funnier depending on who you root for. I think Man United had the best start. Pogba 4 assists, and the guy was incredible. Pogba, when he's in form, he's not the best player in the world, but when he's at his best, it's one of those things like man, is there somebody better than him? He kind of leaves you with that. But Man U started off five with a 5-1 win over Leeds. Old Trafford looked like Old Trafford again. Bruno had 3 goals. He had his hat trick. It was just a masterful performance by Man U, and hopefully they're able to keep up. Hopefully they're able to keep it. So Chelsea took care of business, and Spurs Tottenham they beat Man City to start the year, which was surprising to say the least. I don't think anybody thought that was going to happen, but then they lost in this week versus they lost in one of the like playoff games for the UEFA Champions League or something like that, which is very fitting of Spurs. Heading into match day 2 starts tomorrow 4 a.m. We get Liverpool Burnley, the first game. That the games to watch and to keep an eye out. Arsenal Chelsea. I think it's the biggest game of the week. That's on Sunday, 8:30 a.m. And we have I think that's going to be just a clash of the London teams. Obviously, Chelsea's coming in with more with more fight. They're coming in with more confidence. They're coming in more bold with their chest held high and all that, head held high, chest puffed up. And Arsenal's coming in limping in, and so it could either be a beatdown by Chelsea or it could just be one of those Chelsea takes them lightly and Arsenal surprises them. But that one's going to be fun. The other game to watch is Man City Norwich City, not because Norwich City is great, but because Man City is going to have to respond after their performance last week, and it's going to be interesting to see. The game I'm going to see, I'm interested. Two other games to add to the list. Wolves versus Tottenham should be competitive, should be good. Raul Jimenez has made his comeback, and obviously we wish him nothing but success. And Southampton Man United. Can Man United keep this going? And one of the marks of last season for United was that they would go on the road, fall 1-0, and then they would come back. So hopefully that's not a trend that they keep up this year. Moving on to La Liga. In La Liga, we had Barcelona, who started off hot, and it was I think that they're starting to turn the chapter on Messi and obviously the legend Martin Braithwaite. He had himself 2 goals, and so that was everybody on TikTok and Twitter was having a lot of fun because of him, and so obviously he's a fun player to root for. Sevilla took care of business versus Rayo Vallecano. Atletico Madrid started off 2-1 in their game, so they took care of business as well. And so Real Madrid, they came back and they look good. I think Ancelotti's style is going to fit really well with this team. Benzema was all over the place, and it was just Alaves had no shot. It was 4-1. The key to that, one of the things that I liked about that game was Vinny last year was a mess, and this dude was either feast or famine, and he was either really good or really bad, and the game was too fast for him. And this year, in one game, he looked so much better, so much in control than in all the games he looked in last year. So hopefully that just means he's matured, the game has slowed down, and he's learning from last season. Heading into this week for La Liga, we have Espanyol Villarreal, which should be very competitive. That's tomorrow, and looking forward to that one. Real Betis, because of my guy Diego Lainez. So keep an eye out for that. That's tomorrow as well at noon. Uh, Barcelona versus Athletic Club. I think Barcelona is going to be an interesting team to watch all season because I think a lot has been made about Messi leaving, but I think Barcelona has the opportunity to show that hey, we're more than just a club of Messi, and our players are good players, and they have a good roster. I hate Barcelona, but they have a good roster. So to think that these guys are going to fall off the map, I don't think they're going to win La Liga. I don't think they're going to win the Champions League, but I don't think they're going to be middle of the table either. I think they're going to be competitive. They're going to be right there, and you never know. You never know with these things. You go through a stretch where anybody can have a bad month, the next thing you know, you're right there in the mix of it, which is what I think Sevilla is hoping that they're able to climb past Barcelona and Villarreal and all of that. So it's going to be interesting to see. The other game that I'm going to be watching, obviously, Real Madrid Levante. That one should be fun, should be good. And Getafe Sevilla. Getafe is super competitive. They don't win much, but they're super competitive and feisty versus Sevilla. And that one's on Monday. And Monday's where the match day ends. So that's a few things to keep in mind. Mbappe news. Mbappe has asked that he wants to move to Real Madrid. The transfer window closes in like 9 days or so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. For PSG, you got to make a decision. Do you want to keep these guys for this year, see what happens, see how far he can go, and then let Mbappe walk for free? Or do you want to get something in return? And that's what's going to come down to. I don't think the money matters to PSG because they have a bunch of money. They're funded by an entire nation pretty much. But I think it's just the principle. These guys don't like to lose money. So if you can get some money for one of these guys, why not? Why not? So interesting to see. Obviously, as a Madrid fan, I'm hoping that he gets sold within the next 9 days or so. So to end this portion, this is a very short. I just wanted to get on here and do a weekly thing. Canelo Caleb Plant, November 6th. It's on. I'm gonna have my boy David Escamilla come on, and we're gonna talk this week about this upcoming week about the fight and everything going into that. Virgil Ortiz had a good showing of himself last weekend, where he won and he took care of business, knockout. They're trying. De La Hoya said he wants to put him with Crawford. I like Virgil Ortiz. There's just levels to this, and he's not at the level of Crawford. But I think it just obviously it has to happen. It's one of those things that it's just you can't keep him down. So we'll see. I personally just think that's going to be the end of the road for Virgil Ortiz. It's going to be like Spence versus Mikey Garcia. I love Mikey Garcia. He was just too small for Spence, and that's how I feel about this one. And then Crawford supposedly is going to fight one of these PVC dudes. So hopefully that takes place because we haven't seen Crawford in a while now. Just some random boxing news. It's one of the we are last week we saw Guillermo Rigondeaux, the most boring boxer I think in the history of boxing, lost last week, and his fights are just always terrible because he's an extreme boxer and he just doesn't throw all that much. So he lost last week, and Manny Pacquiao. Shout out to Manny Pacquiao. He fights this week, and according to him, he might retire, he might not. And whenever a fighter starts to talk like that, it is scary because that means he's already thinking about not fighting, and you never want to be in that situation as a fighter because somebody can come, you're getting hit, you're getting punched in the face. So I didn't like those quotes from Manny, but Manny's a different guy, he's a different animal, he's a different breed. So uh maybe he can be the one that gets away from saying that. So he fights tomorrow. Tomorrow's a fight, so we'll have a breakdown of it on sometime next week. But Canelo, November 6th, we're excited for it. That's the soccer stuff. Please rate, review, subscribe, and subscribe to our channel down below. Comment, like, and yeah, we're also I'm also working on a fantasy pod with my guy Ivan. So keep an eye out for that. A lot of stuff coming up, and then Harry and I gonna record the MLB pod very soon. So thank you guys for listening. This is German Brute Thoughts Podcast. Until next time, see you later. Drink better coffee.